This has been a very special World Cup so far. We're getting towards the end of the group stage, but now let's go on to our first big segment, gents, and that's previewing some of these last 16 games that have now been set up after this wild finale in Group C and D today. First up, we know that Argentina is going to be playing against Australia, 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Nick, can the Socceroos cause a huge upset? Because it is incredible that they got past Denmark and Tunisia as well, really. They were favoured to finish bottom by a long way of that group, but two gutsy 1-0 victories against Tunisia and Denmark. And they're going to be tough to break down, I think. They're quite happy just defending and hitting teams on the counter. Yes, they're going to be playing against Argentina and Lionel Messi, but fair play to Graham Arnold and the Socceroos. He's been under a lot of pressure, qualified the hard way in the Asian Confederation, had to go through the Intercontinental playoff. But they got it done, and my word, they're making the most of it because this is the second time in their history they made it to the last 16. I'll tell you what, I'd love to be in Australia right now with some of the parties they're having at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning when their games are going on. That looks quite the scene. And Argentina, Australia, can we see an upset here?
Let me answer your question with a question. Can the United States of America beat Argentina in the quarterfinals? That is my bigger question. No, I don't think it's going to happen. I shouldn't doubt Australia, the Burnley of this World Cup, because I 100% expected them to finish 31st or 32nd when the rankings came out at the end of the day. I'm really happy for them. I like them. It wasn't one of those things where I ranked them poorly because they weren't. But you look up and down that roster, and it's just guys who are not overachieving, but are clearly working together as a team. I just think after watching Argentina score 2-2 and 1, that they are probably due for a 3 or 4. And I also feel like Australia has shown us that they can concede 4 in a game. So super happy the Socceroos are there. But to answer your question, I do not think there is. I think there's a. Yesterday we were floating between 60-40 on the Netherlands' favorite upset against the U.S. I would go about 97-3 for this one.
Yeah, I'd probably go 95-5 maybe.
Generous.
Andy, this is a huge mismatch, but Argentina they lost to Saudi Arabia. They have it in them. They haven't played great. They were much better against Poland when they needed to be. But obviously they have Lionel Messi. Like Nick said, they have so many quality players, especially in attack, that we saw Australia when they came up against France in their opener. They were opened up pretty easily then. So it's going to be an easy win for Argentina, an easy path into the quarterfinals for them.
Should be. It should be. But, this World Cup, it continues to do just some really, really weird things. And maybe, I don't know, maybe the best plan of attack or defending, I guess, for Australia would be, let's put Lionel Messi on the penalty spot, because we've seen, we saw him. That was a very, very poor penalty. I mean, very easy save for Szczesny to make, at a very good high. So, I don't know. I think you have to get creative probably to create a scenario in which Australia would advance. But I don't know. They will defend very well for 90 minutes. And if they sit in deep, Argentina will have trouble breaking them down for a time. But if they can get a goal, especially in the first half, it'll be over very, very quickly, because then the plan goes out the window for Australia. They have to attack. And we saw once Poland finally, and I don't know why they did, because Mexico at the time, the results were going to send Poland through, and then they started to push forward and open up space in behind, and Argentina actually looked quite good during that period. The final 15, 20 minutes finished the game easily their best performance of the World Cup so far, even though that's not saying too terribly much.
Yeah, Molina and Acuna played really well at fullback, I think, and then Tagliafico came in as well. And then they just kind of seem to get out wide a lot. And if you give them that space, they are going to pick the right pass. And that's what they did for the goal. McAllister gave them the lead and just kept finding those right opportunities. But Nick, focusing on Lionel Messi, obviously so much focus on him. Already said this is going to be his last World Cup. What do you think he's done so far in this tournament? Because he scored a penalty, obviously scored another beauty against Mexico, missed the penalty. He's still playing well, right? And he's still their main man. So he's having a good tournament, but he will be disappointed he missed that penalty against Poland, but he probably won't care, right? They're in the last 16.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to your expectations for the player. It's a little bit like when you and I were grading the U.S.'s group stage yesterday. I think Lionel Messi's been a B. I expect him to score goals. I expect him to set up goals. They got through with 2 wins. They just did it in a weird order. His goal, the low goal that he scored to break Argentina through against Mexico, was delightful. I mean, 2 touches and a low shot into the corner. I think he's been fine. And I think he's been fine at all of their World Cups, to be honest with you. He is a magnificent player. And I think what people forget is in a League One that does have a lot of stars, including Neymar and Mbappe, pretty much every advanced statistical service you go to says he's still the best player in the league at 35. So I expect him to do great against Australia. And I expect him to do great against what I hope is the U.S. I really do. I'm not going to get us off track, but I have talked myself into the U.S. as a quarterfinalist.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a conversation for another day, but we will be talking about the US shortly. In terms of when I'm looking at Australia, I mean, the bad thing for them is that Argentina have shored things up defensively in these last 2 games. Yes, they played against Mexico and Poland that basically didn't really have much interest in going forward, right? And creating chances. So I'm just looking at Australia, though. They get the ball wide often. They've got Lecky out there. They're whipped in crosses. That's how they're scoring their goals. With Duke up front as well. So I'm just thinking, is there some kind of weakness there that Australia could exploit? And just trying to give them a chance, really, Andy.
It is not defensively. I just looked up the numbers from all 3 of their games. So the expected goals totals for their 3 opponents this tournament have been 0.15, 0.27, and 0.32. They have not even given up in 3 games a full expected goal. And part of it's the competition. Poland didn't want to attack. Mexico were figuring a lot of things out still, and Saudi Arabia hit them on the counter a couple times for their only 2 chances of the game. So it's a little circumstantial, but at the same time, they have allowed absolutely nothing back there. They've had so much of the ball, and I think they've figured out that maybe their best way to defend is through just having a lot of possession. And obviously, Australia are going to give them all the possession they want in that game. So it's, I don't know, a set piece, I think, is probably what could potentially undo Argentina in that one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Australia, hats off to them for getting to this far. Suter's been great at the back. Aaron Moore's been excellent in midfield, just taking the pressure off. And then Matt Ryan's been really good in goal as well, the skipper. So score predictions, Nick, easy win for Argentina?
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-0. And a quick note, by the way, granted only, 3/4 of the field have played their final game, but Rodrigo de Paul and Nicolas Otamendi, the first and third most passes in the tournament completed.
There you go. Andy, what score are you going for?
Those numbers are going to go up in the next game a lot more as well. And yeah, Argentina 2 or 3, or I don't know exactly, but they're going to score a handful of goals, I think, in this one. And they will flex their muscles a little bit and remind people, hey, we're Argentina. We're at the World Cup. We mean business.
I'm going for a 3-1 win for Argentina. So a full house here for us. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk and NBCSports.com for all the latest ahead of Argentina against Australia in the last 16. Stream news, preview, team news. We'll have you covered with all that analysis here as we look ahead to a brilliant last 16 game.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.